Oh, oops. Alright, so hello. I'm going to be doing a formal analysis of The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali. Alright, so before we get into the principles of design, I want to talk about what we actually see in the painting. Let's start off in the background. We have a blue sky that kind of fades into a yellow. We have a mountainous formation right here. It looks like it's surrounded by water, like a lake of some sort, because you can see some reflection right here. Have a horizon. It starts on dirt. This is a dirt ground that kind of reaches a silver blue platform. We have a tree that's really close to perspective here. It's on top of this dirt cube. And we have a bunch of deflated or melted clocks. Watches, they could be watches too, just kind of laying around on the piece. Here's a watch. It's facing downwards on its face. There's a bunch of ants, I think, or bugs just kind of crawling around on it. I think this is a fly right here. And we have a figure, a being of some sort. It has human-like qualities, like right here, it could be a mustache or an eyelash. I think this is an eyebrow. Don't know what that is. We have like a nose right here and like a face that kind of keeps going, but there are no limbs or nothing. It just has human-like qualities. Some say that we believe that this is like a portrait of Salvador Dali himself, kind of featured in this painting. But yeah, there are 4 clocks. And everything, all of the most important features of this painting are kind of closer in perspective than the background. Principles of design. So obviously, just as I said, there's emphasis on everything that's closer in the painting than the background. Everything in the background, like the mountain and this platform, have symbolic meaning, but obviously they're not as like important as what the painting's trying to portray than what's closer in perspective. Directional force. I wouldn't say that there's a lot of directional forces going on in this painting. I mean, you could say that this branch is pointing towards the mountain, and the mountain symbolizes like there's cracks all over it, and it represents the hardships one experiences through life. Like, that's what the mountain does symbolize from my point of view. That's what I think it symbolizes. But like, same with this like corner may also be pointing towards the ocean, which means like self-reflection and stuff. But I don't think there's much more else I can get from this. Repetition and rhythm. There's not a lot of repetition. There's not a motive in this painting, other than like, yeah, I don't think there's any actual motive. I mean, you can consider like the wiggliness of the clocks to be like a motive, but I don't really think that's what I would consider a motive. I'm just trying to come up with stuff here, okay? Contrast. So there is a lot of contrast going on in this painting. Like, there's some darkness, like shadows that keep reoccurring. Like you see right here how it like kind of cuts off, like it's trying to seem mysterious in that sense. There are a lot of just contrasts that try to emphasize the main points of the painting, like these watches. You see right here, like there's a shadow that kind of goes around this watch, and one that goes around this watch, and the tree, and I don't really know where the sources of light are coming from, and maybe the sky, but the sun is supposed to be over here. I don't know. This is supposed to be like a dream-like image. This is during the Surrealist movement, so this is a Surrealist painting. All this is supposed to be dream, not reality. Obviously, it's not based on anything in reality, so I think that the darkness is kind of just like a part of that. Balance. I want to talk about like a different kind of balance, like color balance in a sort. Like usually when I talk about like balance, it'd be like symmetrical balance, symmetrically balanced, or the proportion of everything working together, but I want to talk about how like everything is kind of blue tinted, like the sky, this formation, there's kind of like some lightness to the mountain. This figure right here is kind of blue, the trees kind of got like a blue undertone. Everything almost has like a blue undertone, and it kind of formulates the painting all together. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of what I'm getting to this. It's like warm colors that are kind of bluish. Yeah, it's kind of, I guess yellowy is what I could use. I like to like use yellow and blue together as like a common proportionality, I guess. Scale, yes, so the scale, I guess it's rather be proportion instead of scale, but like I was talking about perspective, everything has got like a close perspective, and you could tell that this mountain would be really big if it was up close, or that this platform would be really big up close as well, but everything else is so close that you can tell that there's like proportion between the clocks and this figure, the clocks on this cube, the clocks on the tree. Like the tree is pretty small, you can tell because it's the same size as the clocks, or the clocks are really big and they're really big because you can compare it to the tree. Unity and variety, I put this last because I want to like compare, like use all of the principles that we've talked about just now to show that there is, I do feel like there is unity despite how crazy this painting is. All of the element or the principles work together really well to create this entire painting. Like, it's surrealist, it's not realistic, but all of them work together really well to create this crazy painting to make it seem unrealistic. And especially I really like the contrast in this painting. I think that it works really well with the colors and the scale, especially the scale, because it really makes you see how big everything is. Alright. Elements of design. Alright, so the line usage in this painting is almost like you can't really see any direct line usage other than like on the eyelashes and on the mountain in the background, and I think that it's really like, it shows how everything is similar in width and like size. Like you can tell the cracks would be really big if they were up close, like kind of how I was talking about just now, but like you can see how big the lashes are because there isn't really like there's not really like, okay. So the line usage is very small in general. So next to shape, you can tell that there's some crazy shapes going on. There's a lot of unidentifiable shapes in this painting. Like the only ones that I can kind of pick out are squares, or like this cube right here, a geometrical shape right here. And I guess you could say this platform in the back. Actually, I just noticed that these are kind of like the same, but this one's elevated more. Anyways, so you can tell that there's like, the clocks themselves are some crazy, like non-normal shapes, and this figure here is also kind of crazy as well. But all the shapes work together to actually like make this a surrealist painting. But the importance of shape in this painting is that, like, especially with the clocks, it gives you a feeling, especially also with the figure right here, it gives you a feeling that everything is really like weak or flimsy. Yeah, flimsy, and like I don't want to say dead, but like flimsy, I guess is what I would say. Especially, I guess you could also include the tree in this because it's kind of like wiggly and stuff, but I think trees are just like that in general. So yeah, but you can also tell with the shape of the mountain that it's like cracked and crumbling maybe. Alright, that's all I gotta say about that. Value. So with value, you can tell that there's a lot of it going on, right? Like right here where you can tell that it gives the illusion that this is like 3D and it's moving down and upwards. Same with the clocks, it makes them actually look flimsy and like, melted, I think that's what I said. And the tree right here, you can see that it actually gives it a bark-like texture, which is not really, but like it makes it look like it has actual bark. And especially on this mountain right here, you can see that it actually looks like cracked because of the use of value in it. Overall, the value in this painting makes it look very 3D, trying to give that illusion of it, and the illusion of like dimensional effect or whatever. I think that's the word for it. Next is texture. I don't really have much to say about texture, but I do think that there is like texture present, especially like on this cube right here. It looks like dirt. I think that it was intentional to make it look like scribbled right here. Not scribbled, but like kind of rough looking in texture. Just to give it that dirt effect. Also, like overall in the background on the dirt like ground, it just looks very dirt-like. Yeah, I've said that a bunch of times. I'm gonna move on. Oh wait, before I move on, I also want to point out how this like right here, this platform, it looks really shiny and like smooth, and I think that's what another texture I could add is that it's supposed to look like smooth and stuff, and how like the sides of it look like it's made of dirt, so it might be jagged on the edges. And there's also like pebbles. I think these are symbolic of something. I might talk about that at the end, but yeah, these look like they could also have like rocky-like texture. Color, I think I already talked about that, but I'll talk a little bit about it right now because I'm kind of reaching like my 10-minute mark and this is supposed to be 7 minutes long. So color usage, I think I would just say that like these clocks have, the colors on the clocks each have their own symbolic meaning, like silver, gold, orange, and I don't know what, I'm guessing a different kind of silver. I already talked about how I liked how the blue kind of undertone on all of the everything in this painting is really brings that balance together. Oh, okay, one more thing. I didn't even list this, but movement. I do think there's a lot of movement in this painting. With the clocks themselves, how they're kind of wiggly. It adds to that theme of like flimsiness that I was talking about, especially with this man right here. And I don't know if I can include like the the water in this, but I do think that there's movement with this and the human. Conclusion. Overall, this painting was made with the intention of spreading a message, the message that life is timed and we always move on from our previous mistakes because we can't stay focused on that one thing because life is timed. We're running out. This art piece breaks several norms that modern art was built on. Salvador Dali's unique art style helped define surrealist art. And I don't know if I can find... Actually, hold on. I was thinking of finding out like what each of these clocks symbolized. I think this one symbolizes like the best years of someone's life, and this one symbolizes how time is escaping from us, and this one symbolizes like let me think. This one, I think this one symbolizes like how we want to forget the worst memories of our life. That's why it's like flipped upside down. But each clock has its own symbolic meaning, and actually I think that these pebbles back here, like I mentioned earlier, they're symbolic of love, like a broken relationship. I know that Salvador Dali had like, maybe he had just broken up with someone, or maybe he was just entering a relationship and he was trying to forget his previous one. Actually, that makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. But yeah, that's all pretty much I have to say about this. I know this is a little bit long, but I did want to get into detail. I think this is probably my favorite surrealist painting of the movement. It's so interesting and it's so crazy. Thanks for watching, guys.